Welcome back to our continued coverage of round number 3 of the Ural Trucks Fila Africa Inland Off-Road Championship held out at Lichtenburg. With the formalities in play then, we were starting to get ourselves ready to go into the prologue. The early morning lineup for the 72-kilometer qualifying prologue got underway, and it seemed like ages since the sound of the hordes of off-road machines filled the air. Well, it's been 5.5 months to be exact, and everyone was now, understandably, super keen to get underway. Leading the way was the FIA Nissan Navara of Ernst Robertson Henry Corne. Being fast does occasionally have you land up as the top seed, and with that comes the dubious pleasure or honour of having to open up the road. With no tracks of the other competitors to follow, this could sometimes hamper your progress and does add some added pressure to the navigator's duties to keep them on the route with as little time lost as possible. This time, they had a near-perfect run, and Julie threw down the gauntlet by qualifying with the fastest time overall. Making a welcome return to the championship after missing the first 2 rounds was Vryburg businessman Malcolm Koch and son Andre in the navigator's seat. Always a hard charger, Malcolm showed that he lost no pace and piloted the 5-litre V8 Mustang-powered Ford Ranger to qualify second overall, and that was the leading Class T car as well. The sound of a racing V8 is something to hear. And Malcolm played sweet tunes negotiating the qualifying loop. Setting off with great gusto in the Fila Africa Ford Ranger, experienced driver Jannie, Visser and navigator Danie Mare were hoping for a turn of fortunes as they haven't had the best start to the season. Unfortunately for them, their bad luck continued as the engine lost oil pressure and they were forced to withdraw about 15 kilometers into the qualifying loop. Heartbreaker, but they'll be back. National Championship competitor Johan van Staden and this time Corne de Randt came to play in their FIA Spect Renault Duster. They had no pressure or expectations other than to give the car a good hard run and were hoping for no issues or errors. A clean run saw them qualify third fastest with absolutely no issues, and they were keen to then tackle the afternoon's racing loops. Hanno Bierman and Pieter de Beer won the first event of the season in Class G and overall. They missed out round 2 and all eyes were on them to see if they could repeat their winning form of their incredible debut season. Not to be though, as they broke a drive belt, got stuck in a mud hole, and then with navigator Pieter out of the car on one wheel trying to balance it, Hanno somehow accelerated and dumped Pieter into the mud, covering him head to toe in the muck. Thankfully, they're good buddies though. Also amongst the crews not having a happy season, the stalwarts of the class, Werner and brother Leon Mostert, were also looking for a change of fortunes and a return to their winning form. The prologue didn't produce issues apart from a few overshoots, and they qualified first in the Class Gs and a handy 5th place overall. That was going to set them up nicely for the main event. One of the older, and some would say more upright side-by-sides, less flared than new racing Can-Ams, Naldo Pieterse can never be underestimated. He can mix it up with the best of them, but not having a race for a while, and with new navigator Roux van der Venter, they were just looking to have fun and do their best, get loose, coming into a brand new rebirth of a season. The prologue went well, with the exception of a number of wrong slots. Everyone was making small mistakes out there, and the car's obvious lack of top speed versus the new machinery certainly held them back. The M&J Motors entry of brothers Michael and Jean de Beer struck bad luck meters after the start when their car went into a limp mode, a strange situation that's come into play with one or two of the side-by-sides this season. They managed to get going again, and 60 kilometers in, a drive belt broke, further hampering their progress. It was all to do for the main race, with plenty of spinning of spanners between the prologue and the big loops. The green bat spec 1 of Lourens Booysen and Ferdie Pieterse is somewhat of a crowd favourite and always provides a visual experience as well as that sound from the amazing 5.7 litre Chevy V8. Few cars sound better than this. The prologue went off without any mishaps and they took it easy through the various mud and water holes, hoping for a top 10 finish. When the results came out, they were placed 4th overall and 1st in Class A amongst much newer and much more powerful opposition. Game on. They were looking really good come the main race then. Kobus Fourie and Phillip Roux in the X-Championship winning Bat Spec 0 doesn't lack any outright speed, but they do suffer in the reliability department. With 2 DNFs so far this season, they were looking for Lady Luck to smile upon them this time around at Lichtenburg. Things were going great in the prologue until they picked up a loose fence wire which promptly wrapped itself around one of the CV joints. They lost somewhere in the region of 10 minutes trying to get rid of the offending wire, but didn't qualify as well as they had hoped. Surely they were going to be one of the crews to watch in the main event coming through the pack. National competitor Terence Marsh alongside with his 16-year-old daughter Taryn as navigator for the very first time. In true professional Marsh style, many hours were spent in training Taryn, but as we all know, there's no substitute for real race conditions. Taryn took to her role extremely well, and Terence did his best to keep them out of trouble for a clean run in the qualifying prologue. 6th overall and 2nd in the Class Ts. Welcome to off-road and cross-country racing, Taryn. Join us after the break for more prologue action.